Humiliation. Humiliation refers to the ontological trauma of unreciprocated vulnerability. We can experience an echo of such ontological humiliation when we endure the quite sharp, even sickening pain of unrequited hope. The humiliation caused by real or imagined slips in the false self's performances reveal to us the vulnerability of our center of being that has been coercively denied recognition in the formation of the false self. So the idea here is that when we have been shaped by conditioning that has led us to develop our personality. Let's take in my case gender. Okay, it led me to become a man. Okay, with all of the tightness of the muscles and the separating of thought from feelings and the other aspects of male conditioning that lead to becoming a man in the culture. If I'm not a man, if I don't if I don't live up to that false self aspect of the false self that I'm carrying, I will feel humiliated. I can easily feel humiliated. And that underlying humiliation is always there until it's overcome by love, by a general softening, by a general transcendence of gender in some ways, just speaking of the gender aspect of this, that comes through the struggle for social change and for building a more humane, caring, loving, embracing world, which we're all part of that effort. The more rigid the original conditioning is, the more terrified I am of actually being seen in my true being as a present being. And the more I have to maintain this outer self. And this fear of humiliation is at the heart of the spinning top of the world, with each person being afraid of being seen, reenacting the part that they were conditioned to play in a drama that no one can escape from or get out of, except for the fact that there's an inherent longing in human beings that is always exerting pressure on that false self matrix, always helping us to actually see one another, be present with one another, and gradually helping us to evolve as a species and to change the world. Fortunately, this is always happening. But sometimes, to take examples from the section I just read, sometimes our hope gets out in front of us and is not reciprocated. It can be between two people, like I'm walking next to a stranger on the street in a way that would be awkward when you're supposed to be behind the person or in front of the person, but not right next to somebody you're walking with. So I start a conversation and they look away and just walk quickly in front of me. That's painful when that happens. That's a shock of humiliation of having extended myself in a way that isn't being reciprocated. Or to take a huge example, when Barack Obama got elected in 2008, the first time, behind a huge wave of hope, believing, yes, we can, was the slogan of that historical moment. And hope was the theme of the campaign. And he actually carried that quality in his being at that time anyway. And then it created a sense in everybody when Obama got elected that night. Everybody poured out into the street dancing and crying. I cried, okay? Let's put our cards on the table here. It seems ridiculous in retrospect now that we're defended against that memory. But then, for various reasons, Obama could not follow through on that when he actually became the spokesperson for us. That's what I mean by occupied the presidency in this case. When he became the spokesperson for that feeling, he could not follow through on the hope that he had generated. And that created, as I show in the book, a tremendous pain in the culture at people's having hoped and not having that hope requited, were humiliated that they had hoped. And in a certain sector of the population, that produced what became the Tea Party. The rage already present in the alienated culture all congealed in opposition and in anger against that experience of humiliation in the wider culture. So we can take it from two-person interaction, or we can even look at a large societal moment where when people dare to hope together and it's not realized, there's a tremendous amount of pain that results from a humiliation at having extended yourself and not having it reciprocated from the other. Oh, the second example given in this description is false when people, and slips of the tongue that occur while people are on television. You can see it whenever a newscaster is like, they're carrying off their whole role, and they all of a sudden get their words screwed up. They might say their words backwards or say the wrong word and have to correct it instantaneously. Well, what that shows is I'm terrified of not doing this perfectly. If I make a slip, it will be seen as a role that I'm playing. Therefore, I'm going to monitor my words as fast as I'm speaking them and instantly correct them if I make a mistake. Well, that shows there's a terror of humiliation underneath the false self that's being enacted. When the weatherman says, who would have thought that storm would come in so quickly after so many days of and says the word incorrectly, he will immediately try to correct it and may or may not succeed. But you can feel the risk of humiliation when, of course, there should be no problem. We don't have to speak perfectly. Everything's cool, man. But that's not the situation he is in. He's in a super tense, performative situation in which he believes that to carry off his worthy performance, he can't make a mistake. So that shows inside that is a terror of revealing vulnerability, a terror of being humiliated that is at the core of what keeps the spinning top of the system spinning. In a way, if we could all just stop for a minute and look at each other here, wherever we are, and recognize our common goodness and our common longing for love and care and recognition, and everything's fine, it would help us all tremendously. In fact, if we could do that for a few hours, then even when we went back to the regular alienated world, it wouldn't be as bad. We would have that memory, which is one of the purposes of mindfulness, meditation, and other activities that help you to withdraw from being caught up in the denial of your true longings, and the risk of humiliation attendant to them, and reconnect with your being as you really are, so that it feels safer to be grounded and present in your relations with others, not risking as much. Okay.